those Democrats adorable? The way they would keep shooting themselves in the foot. What happened to party discipline? They have no party discipline. They're Democrats, for crying out loud. By definition, hello, it's the Republicans who march lockstep right off the financial cliff, following their fearless leader into yet another shutdown, coming at us like a freight train in what, 2-3 weeks? Ha 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 ha! Yes, no, not the Democrats. Just when things are going good, they have to go and get another candidate in Howard Schultz, the coffee man, and split the vote, handing re-election to Trump. The interesting thing is, we've been here before. Yes, splitting the ticket, splitting the vote, it's an American tradition. Of the 60-odd presidential elections over the last several hundred years of the Republic, about 20% of them have resulted in split tickets. As you know, one of the third-party candidate getting 5% of the vote or more. And I thought we'd spend a couple hours going over every single one of those. Ha ha ha! No, we're going to do the cool ones. For example, 1860, right? The carnage, the horrific carnage and suffering of the American Civil War. If George Washington is the founder of this country, then Abraham Lincoln, who looms large over the political landscape even today, is the father of the country reborn. Yes, but we forget, at the beginning, he was a dark horse in the Republican Party, courageous but brand new, taking a stance against slavery. The Democrats were the evil ones in those days, and they nominated Stephen Douglas, the little giant. And it looked like Stephen Douglas was going to do exactly what he did to Abraham Lincoln in the Lincoln-Douglas debates, trounce his ass. But no, the Democrats, as is their wont when things are going good, they split their ticket, nominated 2 different Democrats, North and South, and handed the election to Abraham Lincoln in a walk. Thank God. Makes you think. Go in the opposite direction. We have T-Rex, or as we Teddy Roosevelt, as we affectionately refer to him as home, as T-Rex. Look at those teeth. Imagine him saying, delighted, 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 as he's shaking everybody's hand at the White House. That's T-Rex. And he, the Peter Pan president, with his antitrust legislation, walking around, speaking softly and carrying a big stick, he wanted to ensure his legacy after his wonderful years in the White House. He handpicked his successor in William Howard Taft, a man so fat that he makes every president look slim, except for one. Guess which one? And after T-Rex went off to Africa and clubbed enough lions over the head that even he was sheepish about it at the end, he suddenly decided, hey, Taft is betraying my legacy, so he came home and decided he'd run for president again in the election of 1912. But Taft said, no, I think I'm going to keep the job. And so he split the ticket, handing the presidency in a walk to Woodrow Wilson. In more recent days, we have people like, oh, remember this guy? You people, yes, Ross Perot, remember him? You people need to pull yourselves up by your bootstraps like I did and make yourselves billionaires. Doesn't matter that I'm white, doesn't matter that I'm straight, doesn't matter that I've got a penis, or that I came from a good family home and didn't have to spend half my lifetime digging myself out of the trailer trash. You people, yes, Ross Perot led enough votes away from Herbert Walker Bush to give the presidency to Bill Clinton. And more recently still, you remember Ralph Nader, the man that Democrats hate, love to hate, from the election in 2000. Right, well, Ralph Nader is one of the true American heroes in the American experiment in democracy. He gave us seatbelts. In fact, my favorite Ralph Nader story is when GM was so pissed off about the seatbelts battle that they tried wiretapping his phone because they wanted to catch him talking dirty. And this is back in like 1970, right? And to no avail. Why? Because the man doesn't have sex. God, they even threw a couple of escort girls at him to try to like lure him. Didn't work. Me, I'm such a slut. They would have had me on day one. I love going down. How did it? Ralph Nader. Yes. Anyway, yes, true American hero. And he did like clean water, clean air. He did the Foreign Corrupt FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, all these wonderful things, a real titan, a real burr under the saddle, a little fly in the ointment of corrupt politicians in Washington, giving himself this really great name, only just squandered it all because he decided he had to run for president. Makes you wonder what's going to happen to Howard Schultz. He's just much the same. This bored billionaire with thin skin that that Trump has taken to taunting because he recognizes a kindred spirit. If he can taunt him enough, then Howard Schultz will run and split the Democratic ticket and hand the White House to Trump, thereby enabling him to escape indictment until the statute of limitations is run out, and then he will run free from all of his crimes. You know, we on the left, we love to say that Trump is an obnoxious Boris oaf, mostly because he is. But that does not mean that obnoxious Boris oafs are not necessarily good at some things, and if there's one thing that Trump's good at, it's escaping jail. How's this all going to play out? I think that because Howard Schultz chose the same guy who fell for Sarah Palin's whore Madonna shtick and torpedoed John McCain's campaign, I think that Howard Schultz has a hard road ahead of him. But I think he probably will stick to it because he's a bored billionaire, and I think he probably will leak enough votes away from Kamala Harris or whoever the candidate turns out to be and hand the White House to Trump, unless the Democrats tighten their ranks, learn from the lessons of the past, and switch to tea instead.